I would like to start off this evening with us all bowing our heads.
Okay.
Father, we ask you to bless this episode.
Father Geoff.
Turner,
We ask you.
we ask you, make us stars, Father.
Father, we already are stars. We just need the opportunity to shine.
Father, let us.
Father, let them.
Welcome back to Obituary. I'm your host. Whoa. I'm your host.
I kind of like that.
I'm your host, Spencer Henry. I don't say that on Cult Leader either.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said that. I'm Spencer Henry.
And I'm your host, Madison. I'm your hostess, Madison Reyes.
Okay.
Okay, maybe a little foreshadowing, maybe
Oh
a
my
little
God.
metaphysical,
Oh,
getting you ready for something.
wow. What am I about to host? I can't wait.
I don't know, but I like it.
I don't know why I said that.
Maybe a game show.
I would love to host a game show.
You know how my mom was on Nice to meet you.
On Newlyweds?
On the Newlywed Game with her first husband.
I was telling Shane about that the other day.
Well, she was also on another TV show, and I'm right now trying to figure out who I can contact because some of the episodes are on YouTube.
Uh-huh.
But it was in 1968, I think, and it.
Are we putting it out there?
Yes, I gotta find the name of the guy, but it was almost like American Bandstand before American Bandstand, or maybe after American.
Okay.
Like where they would have musical guests on and everyone in the audience could come out and dance and do their little thing. And I'm looking for it.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, I hope you find it. So if anyone works for that show, once you find the show.
I'll find it and I'll put it here.
Okay. We had a week. We had last week. Well, first of all, Madison's devastation is over, has come to an end.
My devastation is over. We found a home that we love. We signed the lease a couple days ago, and we love our landlords. We love the neighborhood. We love it all. But I have to tell you, getting to that was a lot. I texted you. Well, I've called you every single day. You know everything. But we have been seeing a house every single day, just trying to be as proactive as possible. And we're just kind of like, okay, we have 60 days. Let's get out of here as soon as possible. And we've been looking at everywhere. And on Sunday, we had a place to look at. And on the way, we see a stray dog, and it was chaos. We picked this stray dog up. We tried to find its owners, knocked on doors. And then we're like, fuck, we're going to miss our tour of this house that we're potentially going to lease. And so Cisco was like, okay, we'll bring the dog to the open house, and then we'll go to the shelter and have them scan if there's a microchip or if they can look up, because it had a collar, but it didn't have a phone number, but it had a number. So it was probably licensed.
Did it have a name?
Okay, we'll get there. So Cisco and I are raggedy, so tired, so over this whole process of looking at houses, just over it. And we go into this open house and I couldn't even hide it. I'm like, we have a dog in our car. We have to go. We toured the house really quick. And I'm like, we have a stray dog in our car. Sorry.
Yeah.
And then we go to the animal services. They scan. The dog has a microchip. They find out who the owners are, where they live. They live in our neighborhood. It was the one door we didn't knock on. And I hear the lady leave a message for the owner, and it's this old dog too. And they're like, hi, this is blah, 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 animal services. We are calling regarding Beyonce. and and I stood up after she was done. I'm like, is her name Beyonce? She's like, yeah. I'm like, oh my God. Anyway,
shit.
we found the owners and everything was great, but fuck, it's just been nuts. So now we are entering into a much more calm era.
Okay, good. We need it. We need it. I need it. Need you to stop calling me every day.
That's
every
me
day.
holding back.
Every day. I need you to talk me off a ledge.
Mhm.
I need you to talk me off a ledge. And the ledge is, speaking of wanting to escape, we did an escape room last week for the first time in such a long time. And we told you guys we were going to do it. And we went and we were rusty. I'll say that.
Yeah, I like almost don't even want to talk about it because I'm so ashamed. I think that's the first escape
It's the
room
first one we've never completed.
that we've never completed. And
Yeah.
I'm disappointed in us.
I know.
I like almost want to rebook it, go back.
And just be like, where'd we leave off?
Yeah.
Where'd we leave off?
Totally.
But that happened. And then this past weekend, wait, I wanted to tell you this. So I went to get a massage. The champ and I went.
Uh-huh.
We like this spa. We've been, a million times.
Yeah.
I was so excited to just like relax and get, I'm going to get a deep tissue massage and just, it was on Sunday night. I was like, I'm just going to start this week off right. It's the best feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And so I go and then they call him first to go back. And I was like, okay, so I'm just going to have some of the tea and I'm going to just relax and sit by this fireplace. And so I'm sitting there having the tea and I was so happy to just have like that moment.
Uh-huh.
And then there's this woman and we're both like in robes, obviously.
Oh, because you're
like,
in the main room.
Yeah.
Where like you can cohabitate with.
Yes. And so I'm sitting there and I don't want to be talked to, right? It's like I'm zen. I'm meditating. I'm trying to get in that relaxation headspace.
Mm-hmm.
She looks at me and she goes, "You getting a massage?" And I'm like,
No.
"Oh, genius alert. Nancy Drew's here, okay."
Oh, I'm just here in a robe.
Yeah.
What?
Just pervin. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like what? And so I was like, "Oh yeah." She goes, "Yeah, me too." And I'm like,
Okay.
amazing. And I was like, yeah, I really like it. And she's like, oh yeah, I come all the time, blah, blah, blah. And I was asking her about something. And she's like, well, I'm moving back to Pasadena. And I said, oh, okay. Like, were you all right with the fires or whatever? And she's like, yeah, yep, I was fine. Well, actually, my daughter's school had to be moved 3 times and da, da, da. Like, she's just kind of telling me. And I'm like, okay. And then, but I'm not like, I'm like being polite, but I'm also like, end this conversation.
Yeah, you're in that space. Did you see that Scarlett Johansson thing, what she said about like talking to people?
No.
She's like, I'm not working and like I don't want to remember this space and time with you.
I love that.
I know.
I should have said that. No, and then she starts going and just telling me her life. And she's like, oh yeah, I was with a guy. I moved out here for a guy who's 25 years younger. And I was like, oh, good for you.
Yeah.
I was like, I love that.
Yeah.
That's great. And she's like, it didn't work out.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, okay. And I was like, I'm sorry to hear that. Well, good luck with your move. And she's like, it did not work out the way that I thought things were going. So now I'm moving back to Pasadena where my teenage daughter is. And it just luckily right in that moment, they came and grabbed me. But I was like, I'm
like
not
an
here
SNL
for
skit.
literally like a Debbie Downer. I'm like, lady, please stop talking
Lady,
to me. Lady,
you can't do this.
I don't want to listen. There's a lot of times where I'm like, I love talking to people.
Same.
Like, I will talk to you
Remember
all day long, but not there.
that lady I met in the sauna when we went?
Yeah.
And I introduced you after. Like, she was a delight. She was so great. But yeah.
Some tall German broad you brought out of there. And Madison's like, this is my new girlfriend. You don't want to know what happened in that sauna.
Oh my God.
they were in there steaming their clams, honey, and they came out best buds, I'll tell you that. But other exciting news, we are on Cameo again.
Oh my gosh.
Our hiatus is over.
Our hiatus is over. I think we didn't even realize how long we had it turned off for.
Yeah, we forgot about Cameo, to be
And then
honest.
a lot of Nikki Blonsky talk, and then
It reminded us of Cameo.
Yeah,
We're like,
yeah.
oh, we should turn ours back on because we actually really love
yeah.
doing them.
Wait, one of the houses that we looked at,
Uh-huh.
they're like, the coroner lives 2 doors down.
The corner?
The coroner.
Oh, I love that.
I know. I
We
was
got the
like,
corner
"Ooh."
on the corner.
And he has a hearse too. Yeah. But we didn't go with that house.
Damn. Should have been a sign. What else?
Well, I have a listener email.
Okay, let's hear it.
Should we get into it? I actually, I was laying in bed last night and I was looking through our email, and there was an obituary that was sent that made me cry that I'll save for another episode. But I just want you guys to know we really sit there and like read through the emails, even if we don't talk about it on here.
Yeah.
We do, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it had me in tears. But this one is from somebody who had a really cool opportunity to excavate a cemetery.
Ooh.
Okay. It says, "Hi, beautiful people. My name is Corinne, and I have attached a PDF talking all about my experience digging up a 19th century cemetery one summer during my undergrad. I would love it if you shared it on the pod. If not, I hope you guys at least enjoy hearing about my experience. Feel free to use my name, love and light." And then it says, "I just got done listening to your latest episode, Oh Bitch, How to Disappear, and I thought you might find this experience interesting. So back in 2018, I was an undergrad student at Indiana University, Purdue of Indianapolis. I was studying anthropology and minoring in religious studies. Summer of 2018, I was a junior and I had the sickest opportunity to dig up a 19th century cemetery. I was a shovel bum for a handful of weeks that summer excavating graves, then got to analyze all the bones that following fall semester."
Ooh.
I know. "I will try to make a long story short, promise. Here we go. FedEx was expanding, but that little old cemetery was in the way. Totally illegal to build on top of bodies, so it was our job to get all of those beautiful people out. After the bones were analyzed, everyone was reburied next to the same people at a different location. They even got new headstones, which I thought was really cool. Okay, now let me tell you a few stories from when I was excavating. When we were going into the dig, we were told there were 400 people buried. We uncovered 543.
Oh.
I know. The last person buried there had been embalmed. The only person to be embalmed. So that was the first course of action. Get that person out. Learned that when you're embalmed, you essentially become sludge. None of the students were allowed to be there when that person was brought out of the ground, and the cement part that encased the coffin was cracked because who the hell knows what was used to embalm them."
Oh.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I guess I never thought about that. We know, like, with green burials and all of the toxins that are in embalming fluid, but I didn't think about you turn to sludge. Kind of.
Yeah.
Crazy. There was a headstone of a guy who died in Alabama during the Civil War. Even though there was a headstone, we weren't confident there was going to be a body there. The thought of transporting him from Alabama all the way to Indiana during that time just seemed kind of crazy. Lo and behold, he was there.
Oh.
The water table was high where he was buried, along with a lot of other people, and he still had hair and his brain was shriveled, chilling in his skull in a pool of water.
I'd want to shake it.
I
Rattle
know.
it.
Ooh, like a big glass globe.
Like a maraca.
Oh, woohoo! One of the graves I was assigned to, you could tell the person was an adolescent due to their teeth. You know, when a kid's adult teeth are growing in and the tops of the teeth are kind of like jagged.
Yeah.
That's how this kid was.
Huh.
So sad. In a majority of the graves, you would find detailed glass with flowers and designs around the skull. This was the viewing glass. No embalming means you have to move funeral services quick due to decomposition, so the viewing glass was a way to close the casket, but loved ones could still see and say goodbye to their loved ones. I found buttons, pieces of clothing, tons of coffin hardware, nails, handles, pieces of wood from the coffin, hinges, etc. and a lot of nameplates resting on the stomach area of individuals.
Wow.
One read father, and the grave, like 2 spots down, I found another that read son. It was definitely an experience of a lifetime, and I am so happy I got to experience this. Sorry this is so long and all over the place. I just thought you guys might find this kind of cool since Madison talked about the Crossbones graveyard. I've attached a couple of news articles about the project we did if you guys are interested, and
Oh, cool.
we'll link those so you guys can read them, and we'll put some pictures up.
Awesome.
I
I
know.
love that.
I think it's so cool. Like, if I remember, anthropology was one of my favorite classes in college.
In the mall.
In the mall, yeah. In college, and I remember our teacher had real bones, but it was like more so monkeys.
Oh.
There was like a lot of evolution talk and like that kind of stuff. You're a little monkey.
You're an orangutan. I remember going to like a science library when we were in school and getting to hold all the different brains.
Mm-hmm.
And
I never held a brain.
we got to hold a chicken brain, I think also a monkey brain, a dog brain, a cat brain, and then there was a human brain, but we weren't allowed to touch that one. But I remember it because it was in like plexiglass and it had like a corner cut out of it so that you could see kind of like what the side and the thing. And I just remember looking at it being like, what?
That's inside of me.
this head.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, probably not, but
Well, Madison, I think you're a real asshole. And speaking of, it's time to move into some Am I the Assholes? And this first one says, Am I the asshole for planning to keep money from my share of my parents' apartment?
okay.
I, 24 female, had a pretty crappy childhood. Even though I was never hungry, I was the unwanted child wearing secondhand clothes and everything I owned was hand-me-downs.
Okay, big fucking whoop. Don't look at me.
Oh. My last memory of my father was when I was around 6 or 7. My parents were screaming at each other, and that was the last time I saw my father.
Oh, that's sad.
My mother already had a new partner, and not long after giving birth to the long-awaited son, he got everything. Name brand clothes, new phones, and even if my parents wanted to say no, he cried and still got what he wanted. Got some resentments here.
Mm-hmm.
Today, I live in a rental apartment in Estonia, and my mother sometimes calls me, and I sometimes visit if I want to see my friends still in my hometown. Quite recently, my brother, 17, told me that our mother and his father bought a house, and they're going to sell the apartment, and even though most of the money from selling the place will go towards renovating the house, they're going to buy him a BMW for his 18th birthday. I pretended I was happy for him. It's not his fault he was spoiled, but it did hurt me. I never even got a new bicycle. A few weeks later, my mother called and told me that she was sad to inform me that my father had passed away quite some time ago. She wanted to contact him about selling the apartment and found out that he is no longer with us. His sister will send the death certificate from Finland, his home country, that he went back to. No wonder I never found anything out about him. My mother found a buyer for the apartment, and when she sent the death certificate to the notary, they informed her that there was a will made by him leaving everything he owned in Estonia to me. They did not inform me before as they had no information about the death. Suddenly, I owned 50% of my parents' apartment as they got it together way before I was born. My mother explained to me that I should gift my share to her as he paid no child support and she raised me alone, which isn't even really true because my stepdad was there my whole life. I told her that I might use my share as a down payment for my own home. Suddenly, both my brother and mother are mad at me. When I pointed out that my brother bragged about a car, my mother explained to me that I'm an adult now living my own life and I shouldn't expect my parents' support at the age of 24. When she was my age, she was completely independent. Taking 50% would mean they can't finish all the renovations they started in the house. My brother keeps sending me messages that I'm selfish and I don't care that it was his home too, and they're really mad at me. I'm not asking for advice. I will take my 50%. I'm asking if that makes me an asshole.
No, take it. Move on. Your mother, even if she was a single mother and raised you all by herself and spent all her money, that is what you do. And that's a whole layer of guilt that you should not even hear about.
Take the money if you want the money.
Take the money, and if you
could offer a loan with interest.
yeah. I think that's life's way of like, okay, now you can maybe move on from all the resentments and be a little set up.
And it's a gift from your father.
Mm-hmm.
Even if he never did anything for you. You know? He did one thing.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think the asshole either. Take the money.
Take the money and run, honey.
Run and go get a home somewhere else, honey.
Go get a better BMW.
Yeah. Beep, beep. Okay, this next one says, am I the asshole for not visiting my boyfriend's mom after he passed away? For context, my ex and I were together on and off for 6 years, BFFs for 10. When he passed away, it felt like my whole world shattered and a nightmare. His body was found at the bottom of a cliff, and what makes it even worse is he died while not on good terms with me.
Ooh.
He was living with me a week before, and we ended up fighting over dishes in the sink, and I didn't think it was a big deal, but he called me at work that day. He said, will you leave shit on the floor for 8 hours? And I said, no, that's not a comparison whatsoever. It's not a big deal. I'll do the dishes and ignore it. Honestly, I was so busy and didn't think much of it. For him, I guess this was not a good answer as I went home and he was gone. And then a few days went by and still nothing. I said I deserved an explanation. He finally said no explanation needed. Your stubbornness shined through. I told him I didn't mean for him to take it that way, but at this point he was already relapsed on drugs and not himself. He was fighting with his mom, who would constantly hold his dog against him and say he needed to come take care of his girlfriend, which he corrected her, saying it's his fur child, which it actually was their family dog. She wouldn't approve of me because I was from his druggy past, even though I'm 9 years clean. His mom always said our main reason why we would break up was that he felt like he owed them his life because he's adopted. So fast forward, before he died, I was hurt he wouldn't come to me about his mom/relapse, and I texted him that he was a dick, good riddance, and blocked him. So when his mother got his phone back, she went through all of our messages, and next thing you know, I wasn't welcome at the funeral. She said, I don't want you at the funeral because you called me toxic in the text with Matthew.
It sounds like she is.
I know. Yeah, I actually went through his phone, and you called me toxic.
Yeah.
I was in shock. I honestly just broke down, hyperventilating, crying, and at that moment, I realized just how toxic she was, but told her what I said came out of anger and text, and it shouldn't be held against me. She said, what will you do to make me let you come? And I told her I come with nothing but peace and love. So she said I was allowed to attend, but that mine and Matthew's relationship was too volatile and that she hopes I move on and get someone better. I was appalled, of course, not only for the find someone better part, mostly because he was the best man ever and we weren't volatile at all. We never really had any big fights. He never raised his voice at me. Fast forward to the funeral, my son wanted to speak. After all, Matthew was like a stepdad to him, but they made it so that only certain family members could speak. The mother mainly sat in the room by his ashes and spoke with so many people during and at the end. When I had to go, she finally said, oh, honey, we haven't had a chance to speak yet. Can you come by and we have a talk sometime? I hugged her and said, of course, I'll pop by. But now I have not. Am I the asshole for not popping by like I said? Also, his father walked up to me at the funeral with his dog and said, this was Matthew's real girlfriend here.
Oh, I think get away from them.
They sound like fucking weirdos.
Weirdos.
Yeah.
Toxic with a capital T. And you don't have to put yourself in that position. There's a 90% chance that you will walk out of that meeting feeling worse off about everything. So just protect yourself and do not go. You're not an asshole.
It's like I said last week, I think it was, where I'm just like, sometimes when people die, that's the excuse to cut ties with people. So
that's real too. I mean, in a perfect world, we'd all love to say, oh, we'll be there for everybody and their family and whatever. No, sometimes it just is the time.
Tell it like it is. Wait, I was laughing because so you can comment on Spotify now. And someone commented the other day and they were like 20 minutes in and they're still not at the story. Like, can you put a timestamp? And I just responded, I said, no. We're not that kind of podcast, girl.
No, girl.
This is part of it. Okay.
And you get what you get.
Yeah, you get what you get. Hit the fast forward button, girl. Yeah. Find it.
We listen. We listen to you. We listen to, suggestions, whatever. But some of the things that some people say go out the other ear.
Can you put a timestamp? No. You think I want to find where that is? No.
You think I want to
listen? Nope.
Out of your mind. Oh my God.
How do you find it, girl? Ask the internet. I don't know. Okay. But you are up first this week.
Oh, I am up first, and I'm very excited about my coffin spinner, which means you should have a little side bitch for us.
I do. And this one was sent in by a Geoff who said, "My name is Brittany. I'm an OG Geoff, and I absolutely love your podcast.
Thanks, Brittany.
I used to be a dog groomer, and I listened to your podcast while giving fancy haircuts to some awesome pups. And I now work at a school and love it. I still groom a friend's dog at her house, and she's caught me cracking up listening to you."
What? What did I do? I thought it was great. Lazy.
On to the story. My sister has done a lot of research on our genealogy because she was diagnosed with a terminal illness and she wanted to see how far back the illness goes in our family. I'm so sorry to hear about your sister.
I know. I'm so sorry.
Our dad and his dad lost their battles with the same illness.
Oh.
While researching for death records, she found a story about my paternal grandmother's grandfather. I shared the story in the attachments. Evidently, my great-great-grandfather committed suicide in a pretty terrible way in front of his daughter. We were surprised by this story, and I thought I'd share it with you. And if you read this on the pod, I'll probably cry. Please don't cry.
Don't cry, Brittany.
I love you both, and you've helped me in so many ways cope with my dad's and Heart Dog's passing.
Oh.
I read Signs because of Spencer's rave reviews, and I loved it. Thank you for all you do to make death just a part of life. Okay, and they attached this, and it says horrible suicide at Dukehurst. Mr. James B. of near Dukehurst and son of Mr. B. of Cromwell committed suicide Saturday morning about 7:30 by cutting his throat from ear to ear with the blade of a razor.
Oh my God.
Cutting the windpipe, swallow, and jugular vein. I have a story about this. Okay. It seems that for several weeks, Mr. Burden had been worrying considerably over the fact that his son had accidentally killed his friend several weeks ago. This appeared to bear heavily upon the father's mind, and on Saturday morning, he left his home, saying he was coming to Hartford. He passed by his daughter's house and stopped in for a few minutes, saying that he thought he would come in and shave with her husband's razor before he left for Hartford. His daughter told him there was a blade of a razor in the machine drawer, and Mr. B instantly got it and left the house, walking hurriedly toward a store. Almost in front of the store, he stopped and ended his life with his daughter watching him, she having gone to the door of her house when her father left. When friends reached him, he was dead, and County Coroner Dr. A.B. Riley of this city was summoned to hold the inquest. The coroner readily found that it was a suicide.
Oh.
Mr. B was about 60 years old and leaves a wife and 6 children. He was buried at Sunnydale.
That is incredibly traumatizing.
Okay, crazy. And also because I had just done that TikTok.
Which one?
About the dad from Hocus Pocus.
Yes.
He died by slitting his own throat as well.
Oh.
And then I also talked about it on a recent cult leader. Also, same thing. But I was like talking about deaths from that, which is like
wild.
So wild. So the timing of this email was really crazy. But yeah, that's a horrific loss. And just such a scary, it makes up a small percentage of suicides. Like dying by, slitting your own throat or sharp object. But yeah, it's just crazy. And I actually just did a really interesting cult leader too on this woman named Ellen Greenberg.
Okay.
And she was this woman. She was like 27. She lived in Philadelphia with her fiance at the time. And he left one day, came home, and their door was locked. So he like broke the door down because he wasn't hearing from her, like didn't have any answer from her. And he got inside and she was dead. She had been stabbed over 20 times, including like back of the head, back of the neck.
Oh, God.
And they ruled it a suicide.
What?
Her fiance's family is this like he's like super well connected. Like his uncle's a famous judge in the area and all this shit.
Okay, well,
and
there you go.
It's wild and convoluted, but I just did an episode on it.
That's interesting. That's scary too. It's just scary when the system fails,
Well, it's just how do you rule that a suicide?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Crazy.
That is insane. Wait, speaking of razors.
Yeah.
In our new house, there's a random medicine cabinet in the garage. And the owners were like, yeah, we wanted to keep it because they've like tried to keep the charm of
Does
the
it have
place.
the little razor slits?
It has the razor slits.
We have those in here.
Okay.
Yeah.
The owners were saying they're like, we have one, or we had them in our house, and then we renovated, and when they removed it,
Was there all these blades?
all you could hear was like ching 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 ching. I think that's so cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
So wild.
I know.
Also wild because it's like, okay, we're just gonna throw them behind the wall.
But I mean, it makes sense.
I guess.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll hear what had you spinning in your coffin this week.
Alrighty.
We'll be right back. And we're back. What had you spinning in your coffin this week?
Geoffs, one of you sent in an email that was titled The Museum of Tort Law. And this was sent in by Lauren from New Jersey. So shout out. You gave us the idea for this, or me the idea for this coffin spinner.
Thanks, Lauren.
I won't read her whole email, but she told us all about this museum that is dedicated to tort law. And what is tort law and why does it fit into obituary so well? Well, because tort law is essentially a civil wrong, not a criminal offense. So no one's getting handcuffed, but more of a you hurt me, now pay up kind of thing.
Okay.
We know that death can just be fucking litigious anyway, so let's get into the courtroom, okay? And where are gavels? We need a gavel.
They're up there.
All right. Well, just know they're up
They're
there.
here in spirit.
They're here in spirit. Tort comes from the Latin word. It's like tortum or
Torta.
Torta?
No.
Oh. I love a torta. Anyway, the Latin root means twisted or wrong. And honestly, that's perfect because
Twisted's such a good insult too, by the way. You're
twisted. You're
twisted.
twisted. Some of these stories are fucking twisted, and it's hard to believe that they're even real. Tort law is how we deal with personal injuries, defamation, trespassing, etc. But it also deals with wrongful death.
Ooh.
So if someone slips on embalming fluid in a funeral home, that's tort. A coffin explodes because they were ignored storage warnings, that's tort.
Got it.
When I was like researching this, and I will say my sister is an attorney and she doesn't practice anymore, but she taught tort law for 25 years.
Yeah.
And she's actually at like a convention right now for tort law. I was on the phone with her when I was writing this, and she was like explaining it to me and breaking it down in layman's terms. And I was like, okay, so criminal law is like cult leader, right?
Uh-huh.
Tort law is like obituary because
Okay.
it still deals with death, but there's a lot of other things that come with it.
Got it.
Okay. There are three main categories of tort law. There's intentional torts, which is like assault or false imprisonment. There's negligence, so basically carelessness gone wrong. And then strict liability, which means you're responsible no matter how careful you are. So even if you didn't have intentions to hurt anyone and you had an urn business, say for example, and your urn is actually defective in some kind of way and it is a fire hazard, like that would be strict liability. And then I was talking to my sister. She's like, when I teach it, I teach 3, but then I also teach a couple other ones that are like defamation and invasion of privacy.
Got it.
Okay. And then she was telling me about the Depo-Provera case, like that birth control shot. I guess the company like knew that there was too much progesterone in it and that it could cause this certain type of brain tumor, but they like did it anyway. Yeah, whole thing. But I thought I would get into some of the weirdest and wildest cases that are great examples of tort law.
Yeah.
This first one is Final Destination on crack or something. Like it's wild. Okay. So we have United Novelty Co. versus Daniels. This was in 1949. The case was held in the Mississippi Supreme Court. The victim was William Daniels, a 19-year-old employee of United Novelty. And I looked up United Novelty, and there is a company called United Novelty that was started in the 80s, so I don't think it's connected. But this company was like a bingo supply company. But This United Novelty, I don't know what they were. So just so you know.
Okay.
The incident that is talked about happened in a small back room of a service station in Mississippi. William Daniels was cleaning a vending machine that was owned by United Novelty Company. Okay. Well, here's what happened. William Daniels was cleaning out the interior parts of the vending machine, and he was using gasoline to do so. Now, this is the 1940s, so maybe to
Okay.
clean like hardware or metals or something, you would use gasoline.
All right.
I don't know. Anyway, the room that the vending machine in also had a heater.
Oh, no.
And again, it's 1949. The heater was an open flame gas heater. That already sounds risky. Gasoline close to the heater, like whatever.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. While William is cleaning out the machine, he notices that a rat had sort of made a home in the machine.
Ugh.
And the poor rat was doused in gasoline because William couldn't tell that he was dousing a rat, but the rat was in there and he was cleaning, right? Well, the poor gasoline soaked rat runs out of the vending machine
No.
and hides under the open flame
Oh,
heater.
no.
The rat freaks out, is set on fire, runs across the room, setting everything that the gasoline touched on fire, and the room explodes.
Oh,
Is that not
God.
crazy?
Yeah, imagine that happening.
It's wild. Okay, so William Daniels dies, unfortunately.
Oh, my God.
So William's family ends up suing United Novelty Company. Their argument was that they didn't provide him with a safe environment, nor warned him about the dangers of cleaning with gasoline. There weren't any safety protocols in place at the time.
Okay.
It really does. It sounds like Final Destination, but
Yeah.
the Supreme Court ruled in William Daniels' family's favor because the risk of fire was foreseeable, even if there wasn't a rat involved. Okay, so next we have Grimshaw versus Ford Motor Company.
I have heard this one before.
It's like one of the most famous.
Uh-huh.
Okay. The lawsuit was in 1981, but the incident happened in 1972 in California. A 13-year-old boy named Richard Grimshaw was riding in a 1972 Ford Pinto being driven by a woman named Lily Gray. And everything that I read, I cannot find what their relationship was. They just all say that he was driven by Lily Gray. So they're driving down Interstate 15 and they're in a Ford Pinto. And then the Ford Pinto kind of starts to stall out. So because of this, they were unfortunately rear-ended. And upon impact, the Pinto's fuel tank ruptured, causing the car to burst into flames immediately. Lily Gray dies of severe burns. 13-year-old Richard Grimshaw actually survives, but maintained burns over 90% of his body.
Oof.
And it resulted in a bunch of surgeries and a bunch of scarring. So Richard's family decides to sue Ford for wrongful death on behalf of Lily Gray's estate, but also for negligence, design defects, and failure to warn.
Well, didn't that happen like all the time with Pintos?
Well, yeah, I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
So,
Well, it's because the fuel tanks were.
yeah, but it's so fucked up, Spencer. In this case, there was a full jury, and I guess Ford tried to argue back that the car design met all of the federal safety standards, but there was a shit ton of stuff that surfaced in this case, which made it so scandalous. Apparently, Ford had conducted a cost-benefit analysis of their fuel tank design. So like you said, there were a lot of complaints about their fuel tank.
Yeah.
And they conducted this cost-benefit analysis. And the fuel tank was in the rear of the car, and it was only a couple inches away from the bumper. So yeah, if you were to get hit, you'd hit the fuel tank and explode. Anyway, Ford knew that it wasn't a good design, so they had that cost-benefit analysis that basically compared fixing the issue to just paying for injuries and deaths. So fixing the tank would have cost them $11 per car, which would cost them a total of $137 million.
Okay.
Wrongful death and other lawsuits would only cost them about $50 million. So they basically said, oh, it's fine. It's much cheaper to pay for a death than to actually prevent deaths or to fix the situation.
Come on, Ford.
This is also known as the Pinto memo. That's like, it went around, obviously, internally, but somebody leaked it to a journalist and it was brought up in court. And so Ford lost the lawsuit. The jury awarded $2.5 million to Richard Grimshaw for compensation, $560,000 to Lily Gray's estate, and then $125 million in punitive damages against Ford were given, meant to punish them basically, but it was later reduced to $3.5 million. That's a big reduction. And it kind of proves their cost analysis thing. Like, yeah, it was less than $50 million.
Yeah.
So fucked up. But I believe that they had to finally recall all the cars and fix everything. So,
yeah.
But it's just scary. Like, just they don't care.
No.
Okay. So many of these are showcased at the Torts Museum. And I was able to take a virtual tour of it on their website, and I'll link it. It's cool. You like walk through the museum.
Cool.
But this next one is pretty scary, but I guess it's like a landmark case because it deals with tort law, but also mental health ethics. We have Tarasov versus Regents of the University of California. This happened in 1976, and it went to the Supreme Court of California. So we have Prosenjit Podar. He was a student at UC Berkeley. He began to see a campus psychologist at UC Berkeley. The therapist is Dr. Lawrence Moore. During a therapy session, he starts talking about this girl named Tatiana Tarasov. I read that they met in like a folk dancing class or something, and he like became obsessed with her, and she rejected him. And so during therapy, he would tell his therapist about her, and he one day was like, I have plans to kill her. Like, I'm absolutely going to kill her. His therapist took it very seriously. He alerted campus police. He requested that Prosenjit be detained and hospitalized and said he is experiencing paranoid schizophrenia. Like, he needs to be dealt with, right? They did detain him, but ultimately they released him. And Dr. Lawrence Moore, the psychologist, obviously brought this up with his supervisor, who was like not super interested and was like, just let him go. Like, no big deal. The fucked up thing is that nobody warned Tatiana Tarasov. Nobody told her or her family about what was going on. They just kind of like seem to chalk it up as like, oh, that's your client. Like, you deal with him. Don't tell anybody. Well, a few months later, as you can guess, Prosenjit did what he said he was going to do. He stabbed and murdered her in her home. So Tatiana's parents sued the regents of the University of California. They claimed that the university and its therapists failed to warn their daughter.
What are the regents?
I think they oversee like all of the universities.
Okay.
In California. There was obviously imminent danger, and no one did anything about it other than have him detained for a little while. So this brought up the question of whether or not mental health professionals have to
disclose.
Well, mental health professionals have a chance to protect someone other than their patient if that other person could be in danger. Yes, obviously, to me, that should happen. I know there's HIPAA laws. I know there's like all those, but if someone is saying they're going to kill someone, I think absolutely. Yeah. This is also 1976, where psychology wasn't as normal as it is today, you know?
Yeah.
So the Supreme Court ruled in Tatiana's parents' favor. But this is a really important tort law case because it established the duty to warn or duty to protect standard that is also still taught in law school today and in psychology programs. And it's known also as the Tarasoff duty. It also forced the government to reevaluate the limits of therapist patient confidentiality. In today's world, I think that more law enforcement would have been contacted. Maybe Prosenjit would have been jailed or hospitalized and gotten help. And Tatiana would have been at least warned of the danger, but that didn't happen.
I don't even know if that would happen today. Like, I feel like,
Really?
I mean, like, most of the time, yeah, because you can kind of threaten whatever you want with people and nothing happens to you. It's not until you actually do something that
Oh,
you're breaking the law. Because, like, that's like cops all the time. They're like, people call and be like, my boyfriend is trying to kill me. He keeps telling me that he's going to kill me. And they're like, okay.
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. A little update on Prosenjit, if this makes it even more fucked up. He went to Berkeley for graduate school. He was originally from India. He was convicted of second-degree murder, but it was overturned because of something with the jury. Like they weren't instructed right or something. So the court was able to overturn it. And so, some like loophole thing. And he was released and sent back to India.
Wow.
Crazy. Okay, I have two more that fit into torts law that are a little haunted.
Ooh.
Okay. So we have the haunted restaurant. This one was a lawsuit between a group of restaurant owners and their landlord who owned the commercial space they had leased for their restaurant.
Okay.
This happened in Florida, and I love it because it's so Florida. So the tenants, the restaurant owners, refused to occupy the historic building that they leased because they started hearing, after the lease was signed, about all these local legends regarding how the space is incredibly haunted.
Uh-huh.
I guess the spirit of a woman who had died on the property allegedly haunted the space. And the tenants cited that they had religious beliefs that didn't align with a haunted building and refused to open their restaurant. They stated that operating a business in a haunted location would actually violate their spiritual and cultural values. I guess they were like devout Jehovah's Witnesses and didn't want any part of any haunting.
They weren't trying to witness that.
They were not. Absolutely not. Well, the landlord is like, well, I need my fucking money, so ends up suing them. The landlords are the owners of, I guess this building is the Church Street Station. If any of you know it, if it's there, this happened in 2005, so I don't even know if it's still there. But they sued the tenants for $2.6 million for breaching the contract.
Uh-huh.
And said that the tenants are breaching their lease as well and that haunted accusations are baseless. The tenants countered and said basically there is paranormal activity going on here and the property is unfit for use. They also mentioned that it should have been disclosed before signing. And I read that the landlords offered to perform an exorcism, but the tenants refused. It's hard because I guess the place really is kind of an attraction because there are like ghost tours and stuff that go to this building and talk about its haunting. So while I think it's personally cool and it wouldn't bother me, I can understand from the perspective of someone who has like super strong religious beliefs against it,
Yeah, I wouldn't, if I was on that jury, I'd be like, I'm not ruling in the tenants'
I
favor.
know. No, I know. This case actually didn't proceed to court and was settled out of court, but there were articles all over the news about it. And then my last one I don't know if I know you haven't talked about it on here, but I don't know if you've talked about it on Cult Leader. It's a case with Mark Twain.
I'm not sure, no.
Okay, I'll read it. If you have, then girls go over to Cult Leader, but because I know you've talked a lot about spiritualists on there.
Uh-huh.
Okay, but this one was a court case in 1917. Clara Clemens is Mark Twain's daughter and his heir to his fortune. She sued two spiritualists. Their names were Mrs. Emily Grant Hutchings and Lola V. Hayes. These two spiritualists published a book which claimed that they contacted Mark Twain via Ouija board, and he dictated this entire book in his words from the dead. They claimed that it was authored posthumously by Mark Twain.
Okay,
So
I low-key love that.
why was I thinking about us? I was like, I feel like we would love that. And because literally they put this book out and
Like, that's how
Mark
they advertised it?
as this is written by Mark Twain. And of course, everyone's going to buy a Mark Twain book.
Yeah.
But they,
We should have put his name on our book.
I know, but they just used a Ouija board
Oh,
to contact him. They copyrighted
I rule in their favor.
they were smart. They copyrighted the book in their own names, but they marketed it as a true Mark Twain novel. So his daughter Clara sued the authors and their publishers for copyright infringement, unauthorized use of Mark's name and likeness, and deceptive marketing and fraud. And I guess the court had to figure out, this is 1917, remember, the court had to figure out whether this violated intellectual property, while the spiritualists claimed freedom of belief and spiritual communication.
Amen.
The court ended up ruling in Mark Twain's daughter's favor, and the spiritualists were ordered to destroy all existing copies of the book and couldn't ever again claim that Mark Twain wrote it.
Damn.
But clever.
That is funny.
I know.
That's clever.
So there you go, a little law school.
Oh.
A little law school for you.
And there you go.
Everything relates to obituary,
You
okay,
know what?
guys?
I'm just going to go take the bar exam right now.
Perfect.
And we'll be right back.
And we're back. Spencer, what had you spinning in your coffin this week?
Oh, bitch. I am excited to tell you what had me
Ooh.
spinning in my coffin this week. So, girlie, you know we love a snack. Okay?
Yes.
We love a snack, and sometimes it's hard to stop.
Sometimes it is hard to stop. You're right.
Well, today we're talking about a man who literally couldn't stop. So
Oh.
buckle up, babes, because we are diving into the disturbingly true story of the man who literally could not stop eating. Tarrare, the Frenchman whose stomach was a bottomless pit of nightmares.
Ooh, that's me at night.
Me too, girl. I get.
Uh-huh.
Well, you know, I wake up in the middle of the night like
Oh,
this.
yeah. And you snack. It's like that. It's like Step Brothers, where they like ransack the kitchen
Mm-hmm.
in their sleep. That's you.
This story is so fucking wild.
Really?
So Tarrare was born sometime around 1772 in rural France, and while most kids his age were eating like little bowls of porridge, Tarrare was already packing away food like he had a death wish.
Good for him.
By his teens, he could eat his own weight in beef every single day.
What?
Literally.
What? That's like a whole cow.
It's crazy. So, despite his appetite, he was pretty slim and average in height. And when he was 17, he weighed around 100 pounds. So,
That's thin
pretty
for
thin.
17.
But apparently, his jaw could stretch nearly 4 inches wide. And I guess his teeth were all fucked up because he was just constantly chewing on something.
Yeah.
And when he didn't eat, I guess the skin around his stomach would kind of hang down like loose flabs. But then after he would like gorge himself eating, it would just blow up like a big balloon.
Wow.
The skin around it would get super tight. And also his cheeks, I guess, had so much excess skin that
From stretching, probably.
yeah, that he could fit eggs, like multiple eggs or multiple apples inside of his mouth. And honestly, I'm like, it's giving chipmunk a little bit.
Sign him up for the circus.
Well, you'll see.
Oh.
There is a little circus stint in here. He
Okay.
apparently stunk like ass.
I'm sure he fucking did if you're eating that much beef.
Well, I don't know what it was. I don't know if it's what he was eating or just the massive amounts, but I guess it gave him the most diabolical body odor.
I bet.
Because he was just sweating all of this out. And it got so bad, his scent, that his parents kicked him to the curb and were like, go fend for yourself, you stinky little bitch. Like,
Oh,
you're not
no.
staying in this house. And keep in mind, this is the 18th century. So there's no deodorant that's going to kill that stench, right?
There's no deodorant. And also, how do you keep up with food costs.
Well, literally, they also probably couldn't afford to keep
Have him.
feeding him.
Yeah.
I mean, I think about that too. It's just teenagers are stinky in general.
They're
Like,
stinky, and especially boys, I feel like will eat you out of the house.
oh, well, and fucking like I remember in middle school, I was lucky. Like, my parents were like very much into like hygiene, but
Mhm.
I remember in middle school sitting in class, one of the teachers being like, "That is it. I can't deal with this. Quit spraying Axe on yourself instead of using deodorant. Like, you guys smell terrible."
Good,
Like,
good.
and good for that teacher. People need to hear it.
Yeah.
Anyway, after eating, his scent would get worse and worse. And his face would also flush, like steam, I guess, would come off of his body. And he'd go into these weird, sluggish states where he was like throwing up all the time, making swallowing motions. He would also get just extreme diarrhea sometimes.
Well, there's something deficient
Yeah,
there.
there's
Like,
something wrong.
Something wrong.
Right? Witnesses called his chronic diarrhea beyond all conception, which is a visual that I never needed, but here we are.
I love that in the 18th century.
Yeah. Okay, so his parents kick him out of the house, right? He's
Mhm.
like a teenager at this time, like around 17. And in a tale as old as time, what do you do when you have something freakish about you? You go and join the circus.
Do, yeah.
Right? And this was less of a Barnum and Bailey's vibe and more of like a classic, terrifying traveling freak show.
Okay.
And it was time to put this endless appetite to good use and monetize it because can't fix it,
Mhm.
make money off it.
Mhm,
That's what we
mhm.
say.
Yep.
His talent or role or whatever you want to call it, he was known as the man who will lead anything.
Oh, okay.
And it was like, come one, come all,
Like,
step
bring
right up.
something?
Like,
Yeah.
watch this guy eat rocks. Like, he would eat anything, rocks, corks, raw meat, and it gets fucking darker.
Uh-oh.
He apparently ate live cats, snakes, lizards, puppies,
No.
and even swallowed eels whole without chewing.
Whoa.
It's-
God. Fuck him.
It's crazy, but it gets a lot wilder. So during the early beginnings of the War of the First Coalition, Tarrare joins the French Revolutionary Army, and it was here that his unusual habits were really starting to be dissected by people that like were not his parents growing up.
Okay.
It was the officials there, and they were met with this mixture of both concern but also curiosity. Like, how is this guy never full? Because he's
Yeah.
eating like 4 times the meals of the other guys there. And it wasn't like he was, again, this super heavy set guy. So they're like, what is happening?
Like, where does
here?
it go?
Well, one day he ends up getting actually hospitalized for exhaustion. And so they decide, okay, this is the prime time. We're going to do some medical examinations and testing.
In the 17th century.
I guess. Well, and their testing was fucking crazy.
That's
It
what
was
I
some
mean,
17th
yeah.
century shit. So they watched him scarf down all this food, and then they basically tried out several different things. The first was laudanum, which is liquid opium. They gave it to him hoping that it would suppress his appetite, which worked for some people. It was common for a lot of different ailments back then, from coughs to insomnia to existential dread. They're just like, here, have some liquid opium.
I knew a girl that smoked opium.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And that girl was me. Okay. Unsurprisingly, this didn't work. It didn't do anything, basically. They tried various herbal remedies and mineral based concoctions, hoping that it would either calm his digestion or slow it down. But again, it didn't work.
Okay.
And he would end up just like going to the hospital kitchen immediately. Like, didn't work. I'm hungry.
gonna
Let's
eat
fucking
something.
go. They also tried controlled diets. At the hospital, they attempted to regulate his food intake by feeding him massive meals under supervision to see if they could like feed him to a point where it would stop, but it wouldn't. And at one point, he reportedly ate enough food to feed 15 men in one sitting and still was like, I'm hungry.
What?
They also gave him wine vinegar mixtures to try and reduce the stench and the sweating, which were major issues for him, but it didn't work. And the official medical conclusion was that there was no conclusion. They could not find a reason. They were just kind of like, damn, that's crazy. Like,
Fuck.
he won't stop. But one man, General Alexander de Beaucharnais, was like, you know what? hell yeah, let's use him as a messenger. He can swallow all these things, right?
Mm.
And so they come up with all of these ideas for missions where they're like, we're going to have Farrar swallow these documents and like he'll bring them places and then
he'll shit them out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they set up all these different like ideas and they finally come to this one mission that they're going to send him on. And so they send him, but he ended up being captured by Prussian forces and they, I think, forced him to like shit.
Uh-huh.
And it ended up not being a real note anyways. They were just kind of using that as like the test mission or something.
Oh, shit.
And so they ended up just kicking his ass, and then they did a mock execution on him, which I'm gonna do a coffin spinner on. But yeah, they kind of kicked his ass and then dropped him back off at French territory. Like, don't fucking do that stupid shit again.
Okay.
But get ready for this. So once he was back, they put him back in the hospital. He begs them at this point, like, is there an operation we can do? Is there something you can do? I just need anything, something to satiate my hunger. And apparently they did several operations on him, but none of them were successful and shit went haywire.
Uh-oh.
Not only was his appetite stronger than ever, he went from eating animals and rubble, literal rocks and shit, to cannibalization.
Oh, no.
You heard that right. It started out with he would go around and I guess he would steal patients' blood. Like a lot of the patients there at the time were having bloodletting done, which was super common. But and I also kind of want to do a deep dive there because there's some weird shit with bloodletting.
Oh, yeah, I think we talked about it on the barber. When we talked about barbers.
I remember it was so long ago.
I know.
So he would go around. He would collect their blood and drink it. And I guess he eventually found his way down to the hospital's morgue. Girl, he went down to the morgue and he started eating the corpses.
Oh, God, help us all.
Munching them down.
Oh, no.
And then one day, there is a 14-month-old baby at the hospital.
Oh, not the baby. Okay.
Who goes missing.
Oh, no. Oh.
And the only conclusion they could come to
He ate it.
was that he ate the baby.
Are you fucking kidding me?
And so they kick him out of the hospital because they're like,
he's a menace to
he
society.
fucking ate the baby.
Yeah.
He fucking ate the baby. That was like their final straw. And so then he was kicked out of the hospital at that point because they're like, we can't fucking do anything. He's eating people now, like he's eating patients. He's got to get out of here. And so they kick him out of the hospital, and it's kind of unclear as to what happened over the next 4 years. But when he was around 25, again, this is like 4 years after getting kicked out of the hospital, he was hospitalized with a severe case of tuberculosis, and he died shortly after.
Okay.
But that's not where the story ends, because obviously he's like a medical marvel.
Yeah.
Right? They're like, we've never seen anything like this before. We've never heard of anything like this before. So they performed an autopsy on him, and there were some things during the autopsy that were really interesting. He had an esophagus that was so wide you could see down to his stomach when he opened his mouth.
Well, yeah.
And a stomach so huge that it stretched across his abdomen. And also, like, his guts were all rotting and fucked up because of all the shit that he was eating. I guess it was like pretty much just like all ulcers.
Oh, God.
I know. Painful. And then I started thinking, because I'm like, I know it doesn't tie in directly, but like, you know, those people that can't feel pain that you talked about?
Mm-hmm.
I almost wonder if that was one of the things that he had. I mean, like, internally at least or something. Because I'm like, how was he not like miserable on a daily basis? Or maybe he was, but it's not reported on that way. Like, he was able to function. He was able to go out on a mission.
Yeah.
I just don't really understand.
It sounds like it could be like pica also, you know, like where you crave things that aren't even edible.
Like glass and stuff. Yeah, there's like those people on My Strange Addiction and stuff. But we've obviously had a lot of advances in the medical field since then, but we still don't really know what caused Tarrare's condition. There's been several guesses that are out there, like it was a really intense form of hyperthyroidism. Some kind of neurological issue, perhaps he had a massive parasitic infection. But I feel like if they did, like, could they have figured that out, or would they not? They didn't have the technology back then to like know that maybe. So
Yeah.
maybe they didn't know.
Well, that kind of feels like that could be like a parasite
Yeah.
because he didn't get huge
But
either.
hyperthyroidism can also
Yeah.
cause rapid weight loss, constant hunger, heat intolerance, excessive sweating, all
Yeah.
of which are pretty on brand for him. But none of this really explains it. Like, how do you medically explain eating a live cat?
That's
Just,
crazy.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it doesn't make sense to me. But yeah, I was looking it up because I'm like, how is this a real person? But there's so many reports about him. Farrar isn't his real name, I guess. That's
Okay.
just what some have called him.
Okay.
There's other like French nicknames for him, which basically all come down to like eating man, like man
Okay.
who eats,
Okay.
and like that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. Or like the human stomach. But it's just crazy to me, the idea of someone just being able to put it down like that. But then also, I've watched My Strange Addiction recently, and it's like you see someone just fucking. Charisse has eaten 11 mattresses in her lifetime.
Yeah.
Bob eats 10 light bulbs a day. And it's
Yeah.
like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. Or like eating the drywall or the ashes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Did you see the thing about the ashes?
No.
Okay. I'm glad I just remembered that you said that because we are probably going to be getting sent this a lot. So maybe we'll actually beat the buzz.
Beat the buzz?
Okay. This is from People. Mother in shock as she catches her toddler eating his grandfather's ashes in viral video.
No.
British mother had a shock after seeing what her toddler had been getting up to while she was putting away laundry. In a TikTok clip, which has now gone viral, the mom showed her son running around a living room covered with toys before turning the camera on some powder scattered on a table and the couch. Oh my God, when your son eats your dad's ashes.
What?
My son has eaten my dad's ashes, the social media user added, turning the camera to a packet of wet wipes on the couch covered with ashes. She captioned the Tuesday, April 1st post, hashtag OMG.
Was it April Fool's?
No, I don't think so, because it's like literally being reported on.
Maybe they taste good.
No.
My dad is ashes. My son has eaten my dad's ashes.
Oh my God.
That's like, to me, that's
What?
a story that I would tell a few close friends. I don't know if I'd post that on the internet.
I would never. Are you kidding me? For the sun's sake, too.
But hey, anything to go viral.
I know. Well, when you said it was Tuesday, April 1st, I'm like, is that an April
I thought so
Fool's?
too, but it seems to be being reported on as if it's a credible thing that happened. But I don't know.
Well, maybe we need to try it.
Well, and when your dad dies, you need to write them an obituary.
That is so true.
So why don't we hear some?
Alrighty, I have one for Donald Danzo as a nickname. Donald, better known as Danzo, lived by the motto, get busy living or get busy dying. He loved him some Shawshank Redemption. Danzo was born May 2nd, 1962, in Vermilion, SD, as the fourth child of Roscoe Conway Carlson and Lois Carlson. He died peacefully on January 14th, 2025, at the Daughtry Hospice House in Sioux Falls, SD, surrounded by his loving wife, Elma, and his children. Official cause of death is brain cancer after a courageous 13-year battle. Unofficial cause of death was watching his final game of his beloved Minnesota Vikings. Danzo had a love for many things, including pretty much any food you put on his plate. Not Brussels sprouts or Grandma Joanne's gravy, though. Swan Lake, Thirsty Thursdays at the Shore Store, those damned Minnesota Vikings, twins, riding his Harley, playing softball, and attending all sporting events involving his kids or grandkids. He always had a smile, a hug, and the right thing to say, even if it was wildly inappropriate. Just when he thought he was too old to fall in love again, he became a poppy. His grandkids stole his heart and most of his money, much like his only daughter, Sarah. Seeing his children grow into exactly who they were supposed to be brought meaning and pride to his life. Danzo loved working. He missed it greatly. He always said, working is a privilege. I didn't have to go to work every day. I got to go to work every day. He ended his career as the head of maintenance for Lutheran Social Services, which gave him great pride in helping others through his work. His regrets were few, but some include not making Jennifer Aniston his first wife. Love you, Jen. Not opening a sports bar at a young age instead of a dairy farm. Watching any rerun on TV, like ever. He hated reruns except for Gunsmoke. And this dynamic new kickoff in the NFL. He really hated that. The man with many names, Donnie, Danzo, Poppy, and Dumbass Number 1, is survived by his wife, Elma, his favorite and most expensive child, Sarah, sons, grandchildren, and then it says he is also survived by his Swan Lake family, you know who you are, and many other family and friends. He is preceded in death by his grand angel baby, his parents, his in-laws, his brother, his nephew, brother-in-law, and sister-in-law. I know. Casual attire is expected at his funeral upon his request.
Aw, rest in peace, Danzo.
I know. I just love him. Seems like a cutie. And the pictures on the obituary page, so many cute pictures of him, and one of them is him wearing a shirt that says Dumbass Number 1, and then him with a friend that has Dumbass Number 2.
We need those.
I know. And who do you have?
I have Mr. William Bill Ford McClory. On January 1st, the crazy thing is it's 31st. Thirst.
January Thirst.
I actually like that combination.
I do too.
Oh, yeah, January on the thirst.
Mm-hmm.
New abbreviation.
We made it work.
We made it work. On January 31st, 2025, William Bill Ford McClory was peacefully lifted away from this earth, whistling his way into the arms of Jesus. No doubt he was reciting his favorite Bible verse he said every night, "The Lord is my shepherd." Also, I just have to say, this is from our morbid Appalachian gal, Bailey, who sent this to us.
Thanks, Bailey.
Bill was born on February 25th, 1935, in New York, to parents Stuart and Jeanette. He frequently told the stories of his childhood, fondly recalling his best friend, Alva. Alva's family lived on a dairy farm in Cherry Valley, where Bill would go and enjoy the workings of the farm. It was during these years that Bill fell in love with the farm life. When he was 9 years old, he witnessed his first magic show at a local county fair, and at that moment, the dream of studying magic began. He graduated from the Chavez School of Magic and performed professionally across the United States. At 18 years old, Bill joined the U.S. Navy during the Korean conflict. After 10 years of active service, Bill joined the reserves and completed his duty to our country with over 20 years of service. While serving the U.S. Navy, Bill received 2 Good Conduct Medals and retired as a first-class petty officer. In 1955, while stationed in Charleston, South Carolina... What?
Petty officer.
Girl. While stationed in Charleston, South Carolina, he met and married the girl of his dreams, Dorothy Holder from Hickory, North Carolina, who was also serving in the Navy. She recalls the friendship they developed first and contributes that as being what made it work. While in the Navy, they started their family and were stationed in Charleston, South Carolina, and finally, Washington, D.C. While serving in the Navy, Bill kept his love of magic alive by performing with Dot and all of their children. It was their first child's 5th birthday party when Willie the Clown was introduced to the world. In the years that followed, Bill performed magic as a magician and a clown, making balloon animals for thousands of people. During this time, a new burger franchise was conducting auditions for a clown mascot. Willie won the competition, but they wanted him to change his name to Ronald McDonald. So Bill declined, making Willard Scott the first Ronald McDonald. However, if you ever look at the face of old Ronald, you may see several similarities to Willie the Clown.
No way.
In 1964, Dot was rushed to a hospital to give birth to her second baby girl. Bill had no time to change clothes, so he had to go to the hospital as Willie. Willie was stopped by the Secret Service because former President Dwight Eisenhower was a patient in the hospital. Willie the Clown was cleared to go in the hospital and made a balloon animal for President Eisenhower, and the former
Wow.
president wrote Willie a letter thanking him for the balloon animal, which has become a cherished keepsake.
That's cool.
It was in 1967 that Bill's childhood dream came true with the help of his father-in-law, Charles. As a pilot for Broyle, Charles had flown over farmland in Hiddenite, North Carolina, which he purchased knowing it would bring Bill and Dot home. Bill was thrilled to move to the farm. Alongside Dot and their 5 children, they created their forever home. Their farm life included raising chickens, hogs, cattle, and always having a big garden. Bill recognized the gift of hard work and instilled gratitude and an unmatched work ethic into each of his children. Bill continued to perform his magic and was very active in the local community through 4-H. Many people throughout North Carolina remember the school shows that he performed at for almost 20 years, wowing his audiences with his magic alongside his love, Dot.
Wow.
The McLaury children were also active performing with their parents. Bill with the linking rings, Dan with a ding-a-ling, and Terry with the magic silks. Kimberly threw her dancing cane, and Bruce with assisting and prop setup. Bruce also brought Bill and Dot out of retirement to perform many more shows as the Magical McLaurys.
Wait, that's so cute.
Bill had many magical achievements. He wrote 2 editions of his book, The Encyclopedia of Escapes. He wrote articles for The Linking Ring and Genii magazine, a magazine for magicians. And Bill was featured on the cover of The Linking Ring magazine in February of 2007. He was a member of the International Brotherhood of Magicians, reaching Order of Merlin status, of Merlin Shield, Order of Merlin Excalibur, and finally Order of Merlin Excelsior. Don't know what that means, but it's probably a big deal in the magician circles, baby.
Deal.
He was also a member of the IBM Ring 392. Well, honey, I used to be a member of the IBS Ring until I started eating right.
Oh, the IBS ring. I know.
When Bill and Dot became empty nesters, they traveled across the country, joining the arts and crafts mall shows and making many friends along the way. Bill performed and made balloon sculptures while Dot created balloon art. They also adventured out on a cross-country road trip, visiting many states with the highlight of the Magic Castle in Hollywood, California. Remember when we didn't go together.
No.
But you've gone.
I've gone.
I've gone.
Uh-huh.
Food's terrible, but it's fun.
Food's terrible,
Terrible
but
food.
it's fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Bill and Dot also enjoyed a trip of a lifetime, traveling across Europe through planning of son Bill and wife Pat. In his final years, Bill fought Alzheimer's disease, a thief that slowly robbed his beautiful, quick-witted mind and his active body, as he was one that never sat still. However, he never lost his smile when family came to visit, especially his love, Dot. Bill is survived by his loving wife of over 69 years, Dorothy McLaury, children, Bill, Terry, Kimberly, and Bruce, and his grandchildren. It lists all his survived by and says that he was preceded in death by his son, Daniel Dan McLaury. And then it gives, links to all the funeral information. But I just am like,
What a life.
what a life. And this is why we do this, I'll say. Like, I think, no, like,
Mm-hmm.
you learn so much about people through their obituaries.
You do.
And it's like, to a lot of people, like, he could have just been the neighbor Bill. He could have been, if you work at a coffee shop, oh, that's Bill that comes in. And you just have no idea that they've had
no.
these, like, wild lives where he was a clown making balloons for former presidents.
Yeah.
Or, like, I don't know. It's just, I love it.
And I feel like, too, it lists the important stuff. Even if it's like, he loved watching TV and watching, this certain sports team. Like, but they don't list the stupid shit that we all think is a big deal when
Yeah.
we're going through it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, that should be a motto. Like, is it going to end up on my obituary? Okay, then
Yeah.
I'm not going to worry about it.
And same for people, too. Would I take the opinion of someone who is not going in my obituary? No.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Yep.
So remember that.
I love that.
Love that. All right. Well, we have spun in our coffins.
We have bitched our obituaries.
It means it's time for some. Okay. You know what, though? Another thing.
Okay.
I was like thinking, I'm like, when did it become so streamlined? Like, at what point did we like I know we've segmented things for a long time,
Yeah.
but I was laying in bed. This was like a late night thought when I was like, when did it become so corporate?
So corporate.
Like, when did it go from becoming like when did that happen? We're
Well-
still like, and thank God, because we need segments, because
We need
otherwise we'd be all
structure.
over the place.
Yeah, we need structure, but we could maybe mix it up next episode. We could start with a dumb criminal or something.
No,
No?
no. No.
I can't do that. My
Don't
routine.
work like this. Everything will go to shit. No, I just don't. I don't know.
It was a very natural
Progression.
progression.
And now it's just part of our routine.
And now it just is what it is.
Sometimes when we're on the phone with each other, we'll say, like, what had you spinning in your coffin? Idiots. Ingrained. Okay.
Brain.
Well, we've spun in our coffins.
Oh, we've bitched our obituaries.
Means it's time for some dumb
As
criminals. Who you got?
I have another Easter.
Who's this bald bitch?
Yeah, this bald bitch is a Florida man. This is Fox 35 Orlando.
Wait, because he'd be kind of hot if he had hair.
Oh,
Like, no.
no, look at that.
It's kind of giving Menendez brother, actually.
Oh, kind of the mouth, huh?
Uh-huh. He got that mouth.
What's up with us? Last week, I was like, he's not too bad looking in the face. And then this week, you're kind of feeling this
Put
way.
both of them up on a poll and see who...
Let's not do that.
Put both of them up on a poll and see who's more attractive.
Okay, we won't do that. Good skin, clear bald.
Great skin, but bald. Not that nothing wrong with being bald, but just
No, but there's sometimes when you have all your hair on the side of your head and it's time to give it up. You know? A little bit on top.
shave it.
Shave it and
You're-
you'll look great.
You'll look better.
Yeah.
Oh, I used to, when I did hair, I would convince guys all the time. I'd be like,
Shave
like,
it.
this looks fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Shave it.
Like it looks like a
They want to
bird's
hold on
nest
to it.
in an
They want
egg.
to hold on, even if there's 3 hairs. They want
Yeah.
to hold on to it.
I know.
Not me, bitch. Catch me in turkey or catch me.
Catch me in
shaving
turkey
it.
or catch me bald. Yeah.
That's why I'm like, also, that's part of my like gym. I have pretty good hair.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not worried,
Yeah.
but I'm like, I gotta get a good body because you gotta pick one. You gotta pick one.
Something's gonna go. Something's gotta
something's
give.
gonna go. So I gotta get it like jacked so that when
Yeah.
I'm bald, it's like, all right.
Or you could just wear a little piece, a little hair piece.
Oh, not me. Not for me.
No.
No. Not for me.
I love it.
I know.
Well, this is in
What'd he do?
this is in Clearwater Beach, Florida.
Scientology.
Oh yeah. Well, it's kind of gets religious here. A Florida man was arrested after he allegedly whacked a Walgreens manager in the face with a Bible on Easter Sunday.
Hey man, he was feeling the Holy Spirit on
He
that day. He
was.
was feeling the Holy Spirit in that Walgreens. He was feeling the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit said, "There's a devil inside this man. There's a devil inside this man, and I gotta hit him with my Bible. I'm gonna hit this man at Walgreens with my Bible."
Thank you. Peter Owens, 35, was arrested and charged with felony battery after the incident that had unfolded at Walgreens on Poinsettia Avenue in Clearwater Beach on Sunday, according to an arrest affidavit from the Clearwater Police Department. Owens went to Walgreens to buy a pair of headphones and got into a verbal altercation with a store employee about them. The store manager got involved and asked Owens to leave the store. That's when Owens used the brown Bible in his hand to allegedly whack her in the face before leaving the store. Police were able to find and take Owens into custody. He told police that he hit the store manager with his Bible because she was being rude to him. He did not mean to hit her. And he went to jail and was released on bond. But the next day, on April 2nd, Owens was arrested again. Owens allegedly stole men's shoes and a box of Cheez-Its from Walmart on US 19 in Tarpon Springs, according to an affidavit. And we will,
Wait, is that a different angle of his mugshot?
It is. Better. Yeah. So he's whacking people and stealing shoes and Cheez-Its.
I've done worse.
You know what?
I've
Yeah.
done worse.
You have, yeah.
You have too.
I sure have.
You have.
Yes, I have.
Let's not play Angels and Devils.
Oh,
here,
we're not
girl.
playing Angels and Devils, girl.
Which, speaking of, also obsessed. I told you this yesterday, but I need to tell you, Geoffs. If you haven't watched Righteous Gemstones, please watch
Yes,
Righteous Gemstones. I'm on
it's
season
so
2.
good.
So fucking funny. Okay, well, my story today comes from the New York Post. It was published on February 25th of 2025. 225. 2025.
That's a 9.
A New Hampshire woman was arrested on Friday after police found footage of her urinating on food products at a local grocery store.
Oh, you're a dirty bitch.
Among a trove of online videos documenting similar disgusting acts dating back 4 years.
What a bitch. I hate her.
Kelly Tedford, if you're listening, bitch, 23, allegedly tainted a slew of products at Monadnock Food Co-op in New Hampshire with her urine, costing the grocery store roughly $1,500.
For what? For views?
I don't know. Organic quinoa, polenta, coconut shreds, and raw walnuts after Tedford had apparently, quote, relieved herself on the products. It wasn't Tedford's first time peeing in places she shouldn't. If anything, it was a hobby for the young urinator. Police recovered multiple videos Tedford posted online of herself peeing on produce, surfaces, and other objects. After reviewing the videos, police surmised that the serial public urinator likely tormented not only the grocery store, but a slew of nearby communities with her disturbing delinquency. She was released on her own recognizances and is set to appear for arraignment on April 7th. Police have launched an investigation with additional criminal charges possible in the future. So far, she has only been charged with felony criminal mischief. Somehow, contaminating consumables is not a novelty in the United States, but in California, an HIV-positive man dubbed the Piss Bandit took it upon himself to leave bottles filled with his urine around a Pasadena neighborhood as a means of taunting residents. And it's just, here's the thing, you dumb bitch, let's show her.
Oh, she... If I just saw her face, it would piss me off. But now it really pisses me off.
Dumb bitch. I want her face everywhere. Because I'm such a germaphobe, especially since I had my incident 2 years ago, that I am so freaked out by everything. And I'm not like a germaphobe where I'm like, oh my God, I need to say, but I get really, I'm pretty anal about that kind of, I mean, you know, I'm always like, wash your hands, everyone, wash your fucking hands.
I guess pee is sterile, right?
No.
No?
That's not even true.
That's not true. But also, even if you pour
Why would
water,
you do that though?
Even if you pour water on a food, it could mold. We've talked about all of those incidences.
I just don't know who would do something like that. I'm like, you're such a gross bitch. So,
Jail.
I don't know. I say put her in jail for at least 5 years.
At least.
5 years. If I was the judge, that would be my sentence. Yeah, it may seem extreme, but I'm trying to use her as an example.
Not buy piss-ridden food.
And you know I don't like that word
I know
either.
You hate the word piss. Piss. There we go.
Been a while.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's where we're going to leave things for the week. The Rock will be joining us again next week. And until next time, we'll see you for some more coffin spinners.
And obituaries.
And dumb
ass
criminals. Goodbye.
Goodbye.